legends, thank you so much for joining the Footy Pod. This one has been heavily demanded, and I've never had a guest or a mate on this special Saturdays less willing to do this. Over the footy break last year, we needed some help. We needed, particularly with Donna going away on world tour, with me doing a solo show, we needed help to get things up and going. And we were reached out by a young fellow who has aspirations in the footy world, lofty aspirations, and his work in the field at a very young age was very impressive to us. So we brought this fella in. I think he's been with us maybe 6 months now, or around there, maybe just over 6 months. And as he's crept out of his little shell, like a hermit, like a tortoise or a turtle, and the audience has seen this young fellow's personality, it's been met with unanimous love and positivity. The young fellow's name is Paddy Grindlay. He's an aspiring primetime footy commentator. I've not met someone who loves footy as much as this young guy, but at the same time wants it to be done in a positive, nice way, a welcoming way for everyone. He's a gun of a young bloke. He's also working at Haven't You Done Well, doing the Mission Zach pod or the Mel and Sam podcast and helping with the Auntie Donna podcast at points. Please welcome this week's mate. And you all know him if you've... Actually, I've got more to say. There was one podcast a few weeks ago when Nasiah Wanganeen Milera broke my brain. And in the last moments of the podcast, Paddy called and everyone was like, who is this gun caller? And it was with great joy that I saw more and more people starting to know the name Paddy Grindleberry. Our mate this week from the pod, Paddy Grindlay. Thank you for joining us, mate.
Or Otterboy. Thank you, Broden.
What'd you say?
Or Otterboy.
Who calls you Otterboy?
You did on the account of my phone case because you were like, does that say Otterboy?
Yeah, and it said
like, no,
Otterbox.
it's an X.
I would never call you Otterboy again.
Sure.
Now, Otterboy, thank you so much for coming and doing this. When I said I want to interview you for this, you said essentially why?
Yes.
And you feel very uncomfortable about doing it. Is that true?
Yes, I think I was kind of like, I don't know how much I have to talk to you about.
Heaps, mate.
Okay, sure.
But that's in my opinion. But I just want to say to you, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want. You don't have to put on any fairs or what's the word? You don't have to put on graces.
Yep.
You can just talk about what you want. But I feel like, well, firstly, how do you think people have received you? Doing this show, is this the first time that the wider public has maybe seen you? Is that fair?
I think so. It's gone really well. So I was a fan of the podcast for a couple of years. I would listen to it frequently.
Well, you're only human.
Yep, of course. And then I saw the opportunity come up in, I reckon, December. You know who sent it to me? Kate McCarthy.
Really?
Kate sent it to me. And then my brother sent it to me. And I thought, I'll have a crack at this because at the time I had a job which was in footy.
Yes.
Working for Channel 7 doing some social media stuff.
Let's talk about that. What was your job before working here?
So I worked as I think 2IC doing sports socials for 7.
So that's second in charge.
Yep.
Or in command.
Yeah. The fellow who's in charge is like you think that I like footy. He's a machine. He's a big North fan. His name's Ricky. And Ricky does all the cricket, all the footy. He's got a blog called The Shin Boner, which you should read. If you want to know how teams are winning games of football, you should read that blog.
And Ricky is the one I see for socials.
And Ricky's a big dog.
When did you start working at that organisation?
I was last year at uni in 2022.
What did you study at uni?
I studied a Bachelor of Comms Journalism, and I was about to finish up. It was in, I reckon, July, and I started working as a social media producer for the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham.
You did social media you did the social media, what?
Yeah, so there was Commonwealth Games.
In what year?
In 2022 in Birmingham, which, yeah, exactly, that's most people's reaction. So I went to 7. It was like a sort of internee kind of vibe as you were finishing up with uni. Started that, really enjoyed it, met some really cool people. So just sort of kept on doing stuff over the summertime. I did a little show called The Spin, which was cricket related, which was a lot of fun. Did some NFL.
Because you spin the ball.
Yeah, you do. So when you twiddle your fingers just
Yeah,
so.
it's a spin. But also the spin in media.
Yes, exactly right. And then after doing that for a while, there was a job that came up doing footy, mostly full-time, and applied for it. And then, off we went.
Firstly, how did you when you were going to uni, what was your goal? What was your long-term job you would like to do?
When I grew up, I really enjoyed reading the paper. There's some photos of me as like a 3-year-old sitting on the toilet reading the newspaper. So I was stuffed from the start.
Well, that actually opens up a side quest of this interview, is that you are an 84-year-old man and your taste in music and things tends to be of someone who is much older than you. You play a lot of Super Jesus and Something for Kate kind of situations. You're an old soul. Sure. Is that you like the old stuff?
Yeah, I think my mum and dad grew up in Melbourne in the 90s, and Dad and Mum tell me a lot of stories about seeing Tism at the Collingwood Town Hall.
Yeah, you're that.
And yeah, I think I grew up on that kind of music, and I have just not changed, unfortunately, for me.
So did you want to write in the newspaper?
Yeah, that was the goal. So when I was a little kid, I was handy at English, and I really enjoyed writing and storytelling. So if
you hated English,
I was handy at English.
Handy at English.
And what did I do? So I did a lot of writing stuff, and I decided right once I finished opening the batting for Australia and playing left half forward for the Richmond Footy Club, I'll pick up a column. No worries. So I started writing for the Footy Almanac, which was run by a guy called John Harms.
How old were you?
I reckon I was 12 in 2013.
What?
And
you were writing for a blog when you were 12.
And if you look up my stuff that I wrote when I was 14 about the Richmond Football Club on the Footy Almanac, there's some serious stuff out there.
Hang on, you were writing articles in like year 7?
I don't know if you could call them articles. They were more, the vibe was sort of like match reports and having fun with things and opining and such. But I really got into it, and I met some cool people. One of the people I met's a lovely woman called Tess, who's a health writer, and her husband is a guy called Chris O'Connor, who was the guitarist in a band called Painters and Dockers.
Yes.
And Chris is a ripping man.
You're the oldest man I've ever met.
Yeah, he actually gave me one of his denim jackets.
The way you talk.
Yes.
It's like talking to my dad.
I am your dad. I'm wearing a skin suit.
If you want to know more about Paddy, go back through this almanac, which I'm doing now, and I'm trying to find the oldest possible article. We're currently, as I scroll through, in 2015. So you wrote for this up until like a year or two ago, Paddy.
Yeah, I did. So the last thing I think I did for the almanac was in 2020. I want to say early 22, where I did a piece on the town of Nullawal in the Mallee, and I spoke to a few people who played in their 1960. I can't remember the year precisely, but premierships in the 60s. And it was a good historical piece, and it taught me a little bit about that kind of writing and storytelling.
All right, this is April 23rd.
Don't read it.
2013. This is 12 years ago. So what are you, 12? You're 12.
Don't read that.
So it's the end of round 1. Footy is back. The Tigers have finally won against Carlton, so the Herald Sun has been reluctantly brought into the household alongside the more favoured A's. Of course, there's been a fight between my little brother and I for the rights of reading one or the other first, so Dad intervened and nicked both before they got demolished. Along with the AFL, this is good writing, Paddy. For a year of 7, this is incredible. Along with the AFL, footy cards are now on sale, so brother and I have always got $3 in our pockets every time we head into town. Anyhow, back to the Thursday night. I'd tip the Tigers, and it goes on. But that's very well done, Paddy. I genuinely didn't know you used to do this. You are like a test tube baby of football. It's in your DNA, isn't it?
It is a little bit. So my mum, her and her family came from Cornwall to Australia when she would have been about 5, I reckon. And then Dad, they grew up in Mill Park, and Dad grew up in Bundoora.
Yeah.
And Dad's father, John, he had a best mate, I forget his name, who was trying out with Richmond and Collingwood. And John wasn't really a footy fan, just sort of followed his mate, who tried out for both clubs, and I think he didn't make the cut at Collingwood, so John picked up Richmond as the team, and then it all sort of started from there. But yeah, Dad was the Nuffy original.
Wow. So do you love footy?
I do, yeah.
What do you love about footy?
Complicated question for me, personally. I think it's that I've always been a creative, excited, energetic person who likes, like, I like writing. I really liked performing, especially when I was younger. I like the commentary side of things. So I love that side of my life. And since I was a little boy, football's always been the avenue for me to express that.
Yeah.
So I get to write about things, and if I wanted to write about something, if I want to do a creative writing piece, it would be around sport and football, as it is for a lot of young boys growing up.
So you use football as a way to, it's a lens through you watch the world and take in things.
Yeah, and I think the great belonging of it all makes me feel really great, especially like when Richmond were winning premierships in 2017 and 19 and 20. That's when I was becoming a young adult, and being able to go to the football, meet your friends, meet your family, go by yourself, experience those kind of sort of great marches to the MCG, being part of something that was greater than yourself in the space where any sort of religious observation could go. That's what it was for me, which is a lot of the Footy Almanac stuff, if you want to dive into that weird gear. But
no, that was the same with me. That's the one, I don't have religion in my life, and it is just, that's the thing that connects my whole family.
Exactly.
And it's a nice one.
Yeah, like me and my younger brother would spend that much amount of time like kicking the footy between ourselves, playing cricket outside, but always in Richmond jumpers and always talking to each other through that lens.
How old were you in, what was it, 2017?
I was 16.
Fuck, that's bullshit, man.
Sorry.
It's quartered, that sucks for me.
Yeah.
I had to wait so much longer, but that must have been nice. Was that good for your self-esteem?
I think it was. I'd sort of made a habit of the tragedy of being a Richmond supporter at that point, and that
changed you up.
It was a bit. So all of a sudden, you couldn't use that bit anymore.
Yeah.
It was a really strange week. Dad was in his old 90s jumper. My brother, my mum, and I went to watch the live side at Punt Road. We sort of caught up with him afterwards. And so I think seeing the emotion and then seeing the literal riot on Swan Street afterwards.
You were part of that?
Yeah, that was a lot of
famous.
fun. It was. I think when someone sort of got on top of the shop fronts on those sort of awnings out the front of the Richmond Club Hotel, I think, it was lovely in that sense, because I felt that it was all positive. Like, I watched this fleet of Richmond supporters walk into Coles on Swan Street, singing "Oh, we're from Liquorland," and walk into the Liquorland, grab these slabs, and just walk out into the street.
Oh, well, there you go, Richmond.
It's like far out.
That's crazy. That's cool that you were there. You can always say that you were there for that. So then you go to Seven. You're in. Tell me about it. How was it?
It was good. It was an interesting job. I think I realised I came into it and it was probably I was confident in my own ability, but I did have to do a lot of upward curve stuff. I think it's a.
What do you mean? Like learn quick?
Yeah, learn quick, but also I think get used to the size and the bulk of it all, and I think some of the personality I think involved with working for a major network, and it was great. I learned a lot, and a lot of the people that I work with, like people like Kate McCarthy, I was lucky enough to work with for a bit. Like she's one of my favourite people I've ever worked with, Kate. So being able to spend time with her and pick some great footballing brains, and sit around and like listen to conversations in the commentary box. So
why didn't you stay there? Why'd you come to this awful place?
I sort of thought with the job, like it was great and footy was awesome, but I was kind of feeling myself getting burnt off footy a bit.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. And I got to the point where I had my confidence was really low, and I needed to feel like I was pursuing something that made me happier.
Yeah.
So that's why I started doing the commentary stuff in April or May last year.
Really? You only started commentary 18 months ago, generously, and less like 13, 14 months ago.
So I started doing that to feel like I was good at something, or just to pull my energy into something that made me feel good.
Paddy, you've gotten good so quickly, mate. That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
I didn't know you'd started it so recently.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed that. Like it's a great vibe of, and that's what I sort of fell in love with the game through that, because you see footy through a different lens. And like VAFA, there's not as many crowd. The crowds are smaller, but the people that you meet and the sort of energy that goes around the footy clubs are different again, and that's a different vibe. Which
what's it like at a VAFA game?
It's much more local. It feels much more centralised. Like,
is it nice?
Yeah, you speak to a lot of characters through some of the clubs and some of the community clubs especially, and you get an understanding about the things that they're trying to build. I mean, we had Peter Searle go up a couple of weeks ago. And we spoke to Peter about, building clubs and walking into a club and, whether the culture is an unspoken thing or not. But you kind of get that vibe speaking to footy coaches who've been at it for a while and they're working with, bricklayers or, in the VAFA, let's be honest, people who are involved in acquisition and merger. And the kind of the vibe that they create at a place that's very local and central to a number of things makes me happy.
So you were falling out of love with footy a bit just because of the workload of it, and I imagine putting words in your mouth, that the curation of comments on a Instagram post, I imagine, mustn't have been much fun. Or sometimes I think in the main networks, whether it's 9 or 7 or wherever, it can become a bit negative. Is that fair?
I think so. I think I realised pretty quickly that with socials having an always-on kind of vibe and monitoring those things. One of the things I was really passionate about when I was there was AFLW and really pushing that out. So being always on and having to worry, getting notifications in your pocket and making sure that, A, reading them isn't great for your brain, but B, knowing that if you weren't backstopping, then it could get through and then it could be targeted abuse at someone, and then you could actually remove that if you were so inclined. But that would also involve the 24/7 thing. So I think I struggled
always
with
be
that.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen with the footy with Broden.
No, they were pretty cool. We've got a very nice community. Is that fair to say?
We've got a great community.
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing. And that's probably why I wanted to come work here, because you guys seemed wonderful on your pod performances, and now I get to know you. I mean, you're all right. But,
yeah, we're all right.
but the community always seemed so positive and encouraging and uplifting for everyone, which was a wonderful thing to be a part of as a punter, I suppose, but now as someone who gets to work on it.
So how did you become so good at commentary so quick?
I don't think I'm
do you practice a lot?
I watch a lot of football, which will surprise no one. I listen to a lot of footy, and I've got some callers that I admire and some media performers that I admire that I try and not emulate, but take on board their cadence and their phrasing and how they're able to weave in and out of big moments and involve other people in the call.
What's your long-term goal with comment? Do you want that to be your job?
I would, but someone said something really good to me a couple of weeks ago at a VFL game, which was essentially that this job as it is right now is a good thing. And it's such, I imagine you would feel the same way, but when something's your passion and you're able to, turn it into a little, maybe a side hustle or a semi-career for yourself, it's a wonderful place to be in as a passion and as a hobby.
Yeah.
And there's an element of nervousness for me if I, because you could really lean into it and, pour a lot more energy into it, but I would worry that if I did do that, then it wouldn't feel as much like the hobby and enjoyable space.
Are you genuinely saying you are worried about making it your job? So you're in two minds still about whether you want it to be your proper career, or are you just hedging your bets and trying to protect yourself?
I think probably the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to do it. I worry that when I've poured myself too much into a job, it's not been great for my brain before.
I think if you reach for the stars, but you don't reach the stars, you land on top of the earth. So my career is not what I ever thought it would be. When I finished drama school, I was like, I'm going to be a Shakespeare actor and I'm going to do all of Shakespeare's best parts. That didn't happen. Spoiler alert. But the drive and pig-headedness and single-mindedness of it got me lots of cool things. So where the commentary works out, the approach that with which you do it is so important to just good things happening in your life. But then also at the same time, don't be ashamed to say, I want this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Who are the commentators you look up to?
I really like how Alistair Nicholson approaches so many sports. He's so interchangeable.
That's what's been nice about having you on this show is we've had so many cool commentators come through here in Al Nicholson, Jess Webster, Jason Bennett. Who else?
I love Jess. I think Jess is a gun. I think Jason Bennett's a gun. I think Jack Heverin is a really wonderful caller on Triple M. I think he speaks really well. Corbin Middlemass is a super caller.
Yes, Corbin. We've had Corbin on, of course. You like a straight, not big personality, sort of classic footy caller. Yeah,
I think for me, I want to learn something when I watch the footy. I want to be able to follow what's going on, and ultimately, I think I want footy coverage for me just to be about the game itself, because that's what I think I'm most interested in.
How has it been working here? What have you found about our community and meeting our community? I mean, you were in Tom's Discord before.
I was in Tom's Discord,
but. What do you think of it? How is our footy community different to other footy communities?
That's a good question. I love how this pod and the community around it support the AFLW, I think, more genuinely, which is great. The vibe of having people who are invested and interested that come to this place to hear about the W makes me feel good. I think that's wonderful.
In no small part, of course, thanks to Marnie and her leadership on that. That's nice. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? What's your dream? So when you're 18 and in 10 years' time, when you're 18, no, you'll be 34. Where do you want to be?
Yeah.
What's your dream job?
I'd love to call footy on radio. I would love to do it. I really enjoy the production side of things here. I love working with creative people and intelligent people such as yourself and Marnie and Tom, and hearing what the kind of things that you want to do and trying to grease the wheels and help that happen and being involved in some small part. I think I'd love to continue in that kind of space.
And how do you struggle? I'm putting words in your mouth. How do you find jumping over to alternative sketch comedy?
That's different.
Do you enjoy that, or is it like do you have to change your whole brain?
Well,
for 2 days a week, you have to go and edit Donna sketches and reels, or do a Zach and Mish adventure. Yeah. How do you find that?
I got into Donna in, I reckon, when I was 15 or so. And I really enjoyed it because I was a Monty Python kid growing up. Like, I loved it, watched that with my dad, and then really got into the Donna gear. So I've always been a fan of like the Donna pod and the sketches that you guys do. They're really funny. I love like the behind the curtain moments where you guys are working with Sam and Max and Tom.
Here at work?
Yeah. And you're basically like, and I've seen it a little bit and heard it through my editing computer when you guys are sorting out Dram.
Yeah.
And running little things and blocking it out meticulously.
Yeah.
And I always love the difference in between my thought of like this like wild improv stuff that feels so like loose and then seeing the way that you actually sort it out and how much care and effort you put into it.
Well, that's nice to hear. Yeah. You're right next to it, literally where you work.
Yeah, literally.
A meter from where we're screaming.
There's a thing I think that might be in the show, which I reckon I have heard maybe upwards of 60 times, and it was all happening in my first week.
Tennis?
Working here.
Yeah, was it tennis or no?
I don't know what I can and can't say.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, it's the same words over and over and over again. Well, mate, I speak on behalf of myself and everyone here at work, but then also everyone at in our audience. We're such a welcome, wonderful part of the community. We're so rapt to have you. You've decreased them for me personally how often I'm wrong. So I really appreciate that. Your care and detail for the show, like the way the room is set up this year, like you've put so much thought and effort into it. You really care about what you do. I thank you for helping me so much. I really appreciate it. I know our audience appreciates it. Marnie appreciates it. It's made life really great this year, so it's wonderful to have you here. And thanks for supporting him, the audience. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone's been really lovely. I think initially you mentioned the Nazai Wanganeen Miller thing. And I said this to you the next day. Like, I went to bed really toey because I was worried how the words had come out, and I knew that I'd stuffed up because I'd gotten Hasty and McLennan mixed up for St Kilda, and I was like genuinely like, oh no. And then the fact that I ended up like seeing that pop up on Reddit, and now my mum's on Reddit, so
well, that's a worry.
That's concerning. It's just all weird bike riding stuff.
Yeah, yes, keep her there.
Yeah, so yeah, it's lovely to be in a space where like everyone feels so supportive and they're passionate and interested in what we're passionate and interested about.
Well, we all just bloody love the footy. Yeah, simple as that. Paddy, thanks so much for coming on, mate, as a mate, and thank you everyone for listening. Enjoy the footy this weekend. Bounce that pill.
This is a Grouse House podcast.